What's going on, everyone? Supreme Comer here, and we are doing a thing right now. We're gonna quickly, I mean, like within 30 minutes, hopefully, or less. So we're gonna quickly go over the Destiny Impulse Gundam, and then a series Scheherazade, if I am pronouncing it right this time around. But anyways, so both these guys are range builds, so I think it should be a lot more easier to kind of compare them. But I feel like I should really compare both to each other because they are shop builds. Because if you are trying to summon on one on a particular build, which one do you want to summon on? But I would say both these two builds are in they're built in a particular way that you don't really normally see in like a shop builds because it's not your regular ace exclusive. What else, like commander and all that, because none of these are actually quote unquote commander, so it's not going to be coming out of the best word tags and all that. But in terms of like Seravee, I would say like the tags you're looking at over here is long range and heavy armors. I don't know if any of you guys run these kind of setup over here. I'm pretty sure long range people do, but for heavy armor, I can't really speak for everyone. But me personally, I don't run it, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be here like speaking to everyone like, oh, they don't use it probably. But it can be a good option because you do have shot attack anyways. But if you guys are not gonna have not summoned yet, I suggest you guys wait until tomorrow because if you guys have no, I'll probably leave a link below or the image of like if you guys have known what is it, the Hathaway Flash movie is supposedly coming out. So they're doing some kind of teaser yesterday. So supposedly the MEFD or the how I recall their organization kind of hacked it, quote unquote hacked it, all the websites. So like on GBGW, I think on the official Banda website too. So supposedly like a hijack on the website. It's more of like a promotional kind of thing. But even yeah, so in GBGW website too. So maybe we are supposed to be getting something new tomorrow. So tomorrow's only the 10th. So I don't know. It's because it says something on the June 11th. So maybe, but I do expect something to come out tomorrow at least, right? So let's quickly go over them as I just kind of ramble along how I feel about them and are they worthy enough. But on my summoning video, I kind of pray them a little bit too much. I kind of give them extra credit than they should have given, right? But let's take a look at the head to begin with over here. So in terms of the set of the head over here, so any build you see nowadays are obviously going to be like monsters instead of stat over here. So this one is already coming in with the change skin and all that, coming at 10,895. So as a shop builds base over here, this is a top tier part nonetheless over here. But in terms of the reward tags you are looking at, Gundam type and mid range is probably not your typical setup over here. I'm pretty sure people do actually run mid range, so that can be a good option. It all really depends at the end of the day what kind of build you guys are running, like, because I personally cannot speak for everyone like in terms of what kind of setup they have, because obviously I sound a lot. I can get, like, for example, like the best of the best part possible if I can summon for it, right? So me personally, I run ace exclusive commander and high firepower, so those are my setup. But maybe you guys do, for example, run Gundam type or mid range. I don't know that. But so if you guys are, for example, do have this kind of setup, this may be a good beneficial. Can it be beneficial to your build? But let's actually do take a look. Even coming at 10,895, you still place rank number 8. That's absurd. Like, power creep, man. Power creep is not a joke, guys. But in terms of the portrait over here, I would say it is the double restriction over here. First portrait is locked to a back part, which a lot of head parts for Shapu specifically are not really of a hindrance of like, oh, to a specific part. I do think there are a few, and then some other restriction like the second portrait over here. You have a when you so this one is you only gonna get this benefit when you're using middle shooter, so it's not probably, I don't really like that because there are time want to run like a long range shooter as my job license, and I can't really use it because some portrait like these over here kind of ruins it. So I was kind of stay away from these over here because at the end of the day they're gonna cause you to, like, like it's gonna hinder your build by a long shot for me personally. So I try I try not to go this route over here if I were to do some kind of investment for say. So that's that over here, right? Nonetheless, it's a pretty top tier part nonetheless, like with monster stat over here. But like other than that, all the others that are not anything like outstanding per se, right? It's okay. Let's move on to the chest over here. The chest is actually not too bad actually, coming in at 5,898. Oof, my gosh! Like every chest nowadays is like at least getting up to that 6K for the respective build like melee or shot. Crazy. But this one it's gonna be continue Gundam type and mid range. So not gonna say too much about that. It just all really depends on your builds and all that fun stuff over here. But in terms of the EX skill over here, it's everyone is a CIWS over here. But this time around, they're not giving you like the D pierce, D power kind of setup over here. This time around, they're actually giving you a actual good setup where you can get A pierce and B power over here with like 11 magazine. Excuse me, not too bad actually. But we have so many of these over here with a better power modifier. We have seen like B plus and A minus for a setup, for example. Like the build Project S type of F1A1 also have I believe it was just like a chest machine gun. You also the build project one and also from the premium capsule, they both have the same setup. And the next one I can probably think of is the Gundam X Smile. It also has a chest machine gun. I believe it also comes in at I think A minus at max and then B plus power. So this one I would say is not wouldn't be the best, but I would like to give them credit for not shafting these kind of EX over here, because normally you guys know they like to throw those kind of curveball as not giving us like the big power buff, so big power modifier. But I do have to give them credit for that. But if you do want to put this as like a sub slot, for example, not sub slot, if you want to put this strictly for like your main build, you're gonna have to subslot something. I would say nowadays we do have a fairly good amount of chests that buff like have double buffing, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. But if you're going to that 1 to 100 scale route, I don't think you can. I don't think there's anything good where you would definitely get the stat from the 1 to 100 scale, but you are gonna be losing out on those portrait, which is probably more significant. In terms of like the overall kit, like the parameter, I don't see anything really outstanding. The armor I would say is high enough, but not the highest, right? It's decent enough, but it's not anything too impressive where you want to throw this on like a, for example, on an armable arena. This is probably okay, but not the top tier, right? All right, moving on to the arm over here. I feel like the arm really deserve its recognition over here. This one does have a pretty decent tag over here, Gundam type and high firepower. You really have to pick it in between Gundam type or high firepower if you guys are running the traditional setup of like Ace exclusive and Commander. You're gonna have to pick. Me personally, I pick high firepower, just how my setup is. I have to use high firepower, but maybe some of you guys have to strictly use Gundam type. That's on you. In terms of the portrait, this is probably one of the definitively better portrait coming out of a shot build arm over here, because you do have double one shooting, one EXQ buff over here. But unfortunately, it is going to be locked to a T attribute, and it is also going to be locked to a lesson type over here. So it's probably it's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that if you guys are strictly running T builds. But for say I want to put this on my other two builds, like I really have this one caveat with like them not releasing it like a good arm for like shot builds, because I'm still stuck using the Legends arm, which is an integrated shield, so it's not gonna give you the best sub-slash stat. So that's my problem right now. But I'm currently using a P build, no S build, so I can't really use this arm at all. So it's either I'm going for a T build, T attribute build, or I have to wait for something else. But this is probably the best part to get from if you guys are looking for something for the arm slot. This definitely can be a good option to put it on the main build as well, and then subslot something to either get Ace exclusive or other tag you guys would be running. So highly recommend alterating the arm if you so happen to pull it right. Not bad at all. In terms of the leg over here, I think starting from the leg onward, we see some wonky stats over here. Like we take a look at the overall parameter of the leg over here, you see everything is around that 3,000 mark over here. something like 3,800, and then you get the offensive stat. Both are pretty same. Actually, no, they are exactly the same, and then defense is actually the same as well. So in terms of the outcome of the stat, you guys can see it's not too impressive. For Shockbill, it's a little bit better. Still making it into the top 10 regardless of the leg over here. But this one is gonna. I feel like this one doesn't really deserve to be alterated because this one is just the E skill over here. Folding laser anti armor knife over here. So it's just basically the armor sniper from the side. So it's actually gonna throw. We do have a lot of these so-called throw melee weapon already. I think a free-to-play option, not free-to-play, but standard option is going to be the Ixion. I believe the big skill 1 to 100 skill alteration, and the regular also has what is known as the edge flints, if I am pronouncing it right. So it's gonna actually just gonna throw those GN long and sword blade just like this one. So if you want to go for something a little bit more easier to pick up for alteration wise, no, not for alteration wise, just to kind of have things at level 10, I would say the standard pool is probably your best friend over here. Other than that, I would not go out of my way to kind of alterate this one just because of how poorly the stat is over here. All right, moving on to the backpack over here. In terms of the backpack, not too bad in terms of stat over here. But as for the custom EQ, my gosh, so this EQ is actually a two-stage EQ over here. So the first stage is actually gonna be a. If you guys have used the H3 Fortress, the EQ it does kind of like a from left to right swipe, so you're gonna do a lot of good damage. But the H3 Fortress actually has more range. This one only gonna give you a small. How I don't even know how to describe how short the range is. You have to be literally inches away in order to like gain the hit. Other than that, like you're probably looking at the second stage of it. What's bad about this EXQ? I would say so after you execute like the first stage of the EXQ, you're gonna rush into your enemy, but you're doing like some kind of like a zigzag S type. I don't even know how S type movement, like flying towards your enemy. There are a big chance you're gonna miss because like let's say you run into some obstacle and your second part of the custom EXQ is done. You just kind of wasted your custom EXQ because the first phase of the EXQ doesn't really do damage. It's gonna hit. It's actually gonna do a swipe, but it's only gonna be one hit. So it's not gonna be like your H3 Fortress where you're gonna get multiple hit on that swipe. So it just really depends on the scenario. I would say use this one on a bigger map where uh, the the terrain is a little bit more flat, not like a lot of like rough areas and all that, because chances are you're gonna miss because of how it maneuvers. So that is actually not the best case scenario. I would do ESQ showcase of this just to give you guys a better example of what I am talking about. Even the official like the animation from the or the EXQ showcase from the official website from the Twitter actually just kind of show it really well. So I'll probably leave it. I will leave it down in the description so you guys can kind of check that out yourself. All right, moving on to the beam rifle over here. So the stat is obviously not too amazing over here. Even the tags, man, Gundam tag and mid range. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of setup you can build with this over here. But in terms of the EXQ over here, this is probably not your traditional offensive powerhouse over here. So this one is gonna give one shooting power, and then the other one's gonna reduce when one enemy shot down. You are gonna reduce cooldown by 50%. So these are a little bit more situational depending on like what kind of event or situation you're in. In most cases, the scenario probably good for like battle scan and all that good stuff. But other than that, you mainly do want double offensive boosting. So that's my opinion. Maybe you guys feel like this kind of EXQ, so this kind of replaces to have like I don't know, initial cooldown and all that. It just really depends on the user. So, but me personally, I wouldn't recommend alterating it. All right, going over to the last weapon over here, we got the dual rifles over here. And what do we have? Gun type and high firepower. Not, it's a little bit better. All right, I'll give a little credit to that. But other than that, what do we have here? Okay, this is actually good. So back part EXP boosted by 30%. So okay, I can kind of live with that, but probably not. In most cases, scenario, I'd rather pick something that has in generalized, not specific towards one part. And then that's where the second portrait kind of comes in. It's gonna kick you in the back. This one you have to be using high firepower, so shooting power boosted by 35%. So what this part is telling you, get inside out of the way. So what you have to do is probably you okay for shop builds. You probably want to double sub slot this, so sub slot this one, and it's so you can gain the most maximum slot you can. But you're gonna have to run high firepower instead of Gundam side. So that is the gist of this one over here. Overall, if why would you recommend alternating? If you have the parts, probably the arm. I think the arm is probably the best way to go from here first. Maybe the Trident rifle if you do so to get it. But other than that, maybe the backpack as well because of how good, how excellent in terms of like the quality. I'll give it a solid 10, just for the overall effects or the effort they put into the EX skill. It is a little bit savage towards the end as a final blow, but other than that, you are gonna have a high chance of missing it, which is probably not your ideal move, right? You don't want your Kazi EX skill to miss, right? But right now we will be moving on to the Seravee to just quickly take a look to see what we have over there as well. Alright, so now going over to the Seravee over here, only 6 square to go through, so hopefully this second half will be a little bit more smoother, a little bit faster. So let's quickly take a look at the head and see how we're doing. What? Whoa! Wow. Okay, if you guys take a look at the base attack set over here, it's coming in almost at 10k already. And then look at that shot defense. I'm pretty sure this is probably one of the higher shot defense coming out of the head over here, so not bad actually. So in total it's gonna come out to 11,313, so not bad. So this is like one of the top tier part, but let's actually take a look at the portrait as well just to see if that would justify for it. So in terms of portrait over here, while long range is active shooting power boosted by 30%. Oh, this one is pure shooting power boosting. Wow. Okay, we don't see a lot of these actually. Not surprised. Well, not that I'm not surprised, but surprisingly we have something like this because usually it's one pairing shooting and then with the other one is usually a EX skill. But we have seen the bipolar opposite of having a double EX skill buffing. So okay, but in terms of this one over here, so keep in mind that the word tags over here are long range and high heavy armor over here. So probably not the most relevant tags you can be using in a shop build. But do let me know if you guys do run these kind of tags over here. Like I'm gonna say it one more time. I don't run this one, so I can't really speak for everyone's build. Long range is a good one to be using because of the 3-star right leg gear. It's actually pretty good. It does give a sizable buff, but I think to a certain point, I think running commander tag, that gear is gonna be more beneficial overall. But this one is gonna be just because of the first portrait of the condition. I don't know if a lot of people can satisfy that. If not, this is not gonna be your cup of tea, right? So this is something you can just automatically skip already. And then this one is the same kind of problem with the Destiny impulse because this one is locked to a long shooter job. So maybe if I want to run middle shooter job, then you can lose on this. You will lose on this one for sure if that is the case scenario. So this is not good. So I don't like it being that little bit too specific. I would say. I think having a little bit something in common maybe would be helpful. If this one was, for example, say Ace exclusive, yeah, Ace exclusive is a must-have for shop build, so yeah, by all means. But this is not good overall. Just the status itself doesn't really make up for it in a way. If you're talking about long range, I mean, there are some pretty good options for long range now. You can look at the was it Wing Gundam Proto Zero. I think that one has a few parts that are long range. You can also look at Crossbone Gundam Mao. That one also has a few parts that are long range as well. But wow, let's see what is. Ooh, look at those stat distribution over here. So obviously they took out a lot of melee attack and melee defense and beam resistance over here. So they're heavily focusing on the armor side over here. So let's actually take a quick detour. So this one comes in at 6,400. I want to take a look at the build project. high new Gundam to see over here around the same tier. Yeah, okay. It's 1,000 less, but this one will be a bang for your buck. You can say like a at-home version of a armor build. This one is actually pretty high armor in all those parts combined. The head is like no, but if you talk about the chest, yeah. So you can say one noticeable feature from this one is probably gonna be the high defense over here. High defense, and in terms of shot defense and armor. So whenever they can throw out those armor arena, I think this one would be good. But I feel like those type specific, like those specific parameter trait arena is not for everyone, because like free to play player and like new players obviously cannot really compete. So this one, I would say those are a little bit more geared towards people who have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars into the game, manifest a lot of good parts and whatnot. But this one is not bad actually. This come in at rank 6, unfortunately, just a little bit worse. Not worse, but just a teeny tiny bit by a few by around 50 actually, no, 60. So but in terms of the portrait over here, you're not looking at the most ideal portrait over here. The first portrait is good, but it is going to be restricted to beam skill, using beam weaponry. Not too bad actually, because there are a fairly good amount of EXQ that are beam category. But in terms of the second portrait with power attribute, revive with 60% armor once, but most people will have it realistically only at that trait level 1, so 30% is not, it's okay, but if you're being if you are getting attacked with like a beam struggle, like if you get attacked with one of those long range beam, chances are even if you do get revived, I don't you are still gonna die at the end of the day. You will get, if you revive, you still get KO with like 2 hitter EX skill, so that's something, right? So I wouldn't personally go for these kind of portrait over here. It's a nice gimmick, right? If you want to kind of survive and you want to troll players, these are definitely the way to go. Kind of just troll them, like, huh? Well, I thought I killed the enemy, but yeah, you have these kind of portrait. So these I would say is not my ideal setup for any builds personally. I don't really run it. But in terms of the armor here, let's take a look at the arm. So armor is still pretty good, coming in 4,000. In terms of, so they took away a lot of melee defense and no beam resistance at all. Okay. In terms of the arm stat over here, not looking too bad. It's on the upper echelon over here, but this one is gonna be on a EX skill over here. So what is the best thing to do is probably gonna subslot a, I don't know, because this one, you know what, you can probably, I think you can probably subslide this to the crossbow X. No, wait, hold up. The crossbow Mao, I believe the crossbow Mao also has a long range attack, so that one also has a portrait as well. So that is gonna be probably the best combination over here. This one is the Edge Fang over here, which is there is a standard version of it, the XE over here. So this is probably not something you want to outrade because of it's gonna be hard to get that up to that level 10, obviously, because the standard one will be a lot more easier to get to level 10. So this is something, if you purely want to stab, I mean, you can go for it. But and then the second question you're gonna have to say, how are you gonna be able to fix the sword check over here? Either via the 1-to-1 the skill alteration, or you can just look at something that has probably one portrait. But overall, just because of the tag wise, I don't think you can get anything too good for a sub slot. So you will be losing out a lot of stats in return if you are gonna sub slot something. But I think even sub slot is the stat differences is only minimal, so it wouldn't affect the overall picture of it, right? So not bad for stats taking wise, but other than that, I don't think it really needs the alteration. All right, moving on to leg over here, we have the P attribute, the notorious P attribute, receiving these kind of portrait over here with P attribute, EXQ power, EXQ CD reduced by 20%. So we have seen this with we have been seeing a lot of these kind of portrait recently, to be honest. Like whether or not it's a P build, I think we have some for S and T as well. So It is pretty good for them to to have it on here, I guess. But if if I would to have give them one suggestion, I would have liked them to place it somewhere else because we do have a lot of leg parts that have this kind of EXP, this kind of portrait already. So I do like them to kind of spread it out just a little bit, so you can get the maximum out of it. But the first portrait is going to be a little bit restricted to only the back part, which is not something I like seeing. So I mean, you can alterate it. The status obviously is pretty high right now. Currently for the status number one, 5,500, so not bad. You do have high firepower, so you can definitely work something out of this one over here because you do have high firepower. You can work. So with high firepower, you could do a lot more better with this over here. So not bad overall. If you so choose to, run this kind of EXP over here, the portrait, excuse me. All right, moving on to the backpack over here. In terms of stat, it's not gonna be the most impressive one over here, but still on the top 10 actually. So not too bad. And this one is gonna be the EXQ over here. I am not gonna bother pronouncing this over here, but in the translation, it actually comes down to 1001 night. So like I said, I think in my video, like the one on Sunday, on Monday morning, actually talked about breaking out these unit on from the notice page. So because of the whatever the name of the last one, I forgot to say it already. It's just been a few minutes, but I have forgotten how to say the last part of this guy's name over here. So like I said, there is a famous, I believe it's a male Middle Eastern storyteller or fairy teller, however you call it. I think I believe if I'm not mistaken, right, the story 1001 Night is a popular fairy telling story. Do let me know if I'm incorrect in that matter, but that is the little translation to the EX skill over here. Okay, in terms of EX skill over here, link your Ptolemy arms and fire a powerful GM particle beam from your unit nose beam cannon over here. So this one is in the same boat as the Crossbow Mao's chest, the torso EX skill. This one should be around the same as like the double X, the double X backpack EX skill. So I don't know why they don't give these folks like a S power modifier. They only restricted to like a minus. So that is going to be a little bit unfortunate, but this one is actually bare minimum. I don't think a lot of people like effects, like especially for the backpack and of these caliber. Like this is like quote unquote like the custom A skill, but in terms of the effects, only this is only to yourself. Keep in mind, this is not even to your squad, so you're not offering too much in terms to your ally and whatnot. So this is probably not the best case scenario. Like even alteration, not gonna be good. Not gonna be good for stab. Probably the animation wise, when you bring in the total miles from your back to the front. Other than that, I don't really see too much of a benefit from this one over here. The armor, do keep in mind, is extremely high. They're coming almost like 6k. A little bit shy though, about 200-ish shy over here, so not bad actually. So the last weapon is gonna be the GN physical bazooka over here. So currently, in terms of all-round weaponry, this one has the highest stat over here, coming at 12,427. So not good. That's pretty good actually. Not bad. But this one is gonna be on a bazooka type, so I don't know if there's probably not a lot of good bazooka type to kind of subslide in. So probably the best case scenario to subslide yourself. This one does hold long range and high firepower, so you can definitely work something out of this one over here. In terms of the portrait over here, you are looking at one of those buffing yourself in terms of EXQ power, buff 30% when you are using high firepower. And then the second portrait is going to be another one of those restriction where you have to be using a specific license, job license over here. And this one is in return is going to reduce your enemy shooting power by 30%. So this I have mixed feeling about. This one is either good for like depending on what kind of situation you're looking at. Me personally, I don't run this one, but maybe you guys do. But overall, you purely want the stat. I mean, this one has the stat for you, but in terms of the portrait, probably not the most ideal. But overall, in terms of the Seravee over here, I want to say there's a lot of top tier parts you really need to alterate. I think most of them, it really comes down to being that high raw stat. So whether or not you want to put this on like your main build, but like I said, the sub slot is gonna be crucial to kind of make a break for this one over here. If you have good portrait, you can sub slot into, maybe you can work something out. But do keep in mind, because of how those tags are not too relevant or prominent. I think most case scenario, if you subslot, your subslot parameter is not going to give you the most ideal output, which is not something you like either. But with that being said, I feel like this way, if you do kind of skip these two units, I don't think it's not going to hurt you by a lot. Just because I want to say they are the most easiest to use. It, like I said, it really depends on your box. Maybe you guys do have maybe you guys are all using all these kind of tags they're throwing at you guys over here with that long range and mid range. But other than that, that will be pretty much it for this review over here. So the next thing I need to do is going to be a revisit to the double sky and the crossbone X1 full cloth. And then other than that, I think the last thing we need to go over is going to be the Sengoku Astray and then again the ground soul as a revisit. So with that being said, this will be it for this video, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.